I never thought I'd be sitting down and writing about my life, but I guess life has a funny way of surprising you. I'm out of prison now, trying to figure out what to do next, but my mind keeps drifting back to one night that changed everything. It's crazy how one decision, one moment, can turn everything upside down. I wasn't the kind of guy you'd expect to do the right thing, and honestly, I didn't expect it of myself either. But that night, something different happened. Back then, my life was all about the hustle. I was always on the lookout for an easy score, money, valuables, anything that could get me by. It was survival mode 24/7, and I was pretty good at staying ahead of trouble. I had a 9mm tucked in my jacket most nights, ready for anything that might come my way. It was a part of me, like a shield in case things went sideways. I wasn't afraid to use it if I had to. The streets were rough, and I had to be rougher. That's just how it was. Most nights, I was out looking for opportunities. I wasn't some mastermind criminal, just someone who knew how to grab a quick score and disappear into the shadows. I didn't care much about who got hurt or what damage was left behind. The world hadn't exactly been kind to me, so why should I care about anyone else? That's how I saw it. You take what you can, you keep moving, and you don't look back. But that night was different. I remember it so clearly, even though I wish I didn't. It was late past midnight, I think, and the streets were quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like the whole world is holding its breath. I was walking through a rough part of town, where the streetlights barely worked, and the shadows felt like they were watching you. That's when I saw her, a young woman walking alone, completely lost in her own world. She wasn't paying attention, just staring down at her phone, probably texting someone or looking for directions. She had this innocent look about her, like she didn't belong in a place like this, and I guess that's why she caught my attention. Easy target, I thought. I figured I'd wait for the right moment, grab her purse, maybe get her phone, and be out of there before she even knew what hit her. It wasn't personal. It was just another night on the job for me. I started following her, keeping my distance, waiting for the right moment. She turned down a dark alley, and I knew this was it. But as I got closer, I noticed something that made me stop in my tracks. Out of the shadows, 3 guys stepped out and surrounded her. They weren't there for her purse. That much was clear. The way they looked at her, the smirks on their faces, it was obvious they had something much worse in mind. I could have just kept going. I could have waited for them to do their thing, then taken whatever was left. That was the plan at first. I'd seen plenty of bad things go down in alleys like that, and it never bothered me before. But something about this was different. Maybe it was the look in her eyes, the sheer terror that flashed across her face when she realized what was happening. I don't know why, but it got to me. It hit me hard, like a punch to the gut. For a split second, I just stood there, frozen. I could feel my heart pounding, and my hand instinctively reached for the gun in my jacket. I didn't know what I was doing or why I was even considering getting involved. But then, without really thinking about it, I pulled out my gun and stepped forward. My voice came out stronger than I expected when I shouted, "Back off!" The 3 guys turned to look at me, and for a moment, everything felt like it was moving in slow motion. They saw the gun and froze, sizing me up. I could tell they were trying to figure out if I was serious, but they could also see that I wasn't messing around. They started backing off, cursing under their breath and throwing dirty looks my way. Just then, I heard the faint sound of sirens in the distance. Somebody must have called the cops, probably someone who heard the commotion from a nearby building. The guys took off running before the cops arrived. I didn't care about chasing them down. I wasn't there to play hero, I just wanted to make sure the girl was safe and then get the hell out of there. But by the time the police showed up, it was too late for me to slip away unnoticed. They saw me standing there, gun in hand, and immediately went into action. I knew the drill, hands up, drop the weapon, don't make any sudden moves. I complied, even though part of me was screaming inside to run. The girl was still shaking, but she ran over to the cops and told them everything. She explained that I had stepped in to protect her and that the other guys had run off. The police chased after the 3 men, and within minutes, they were caught and arrested. The cops came back and took my statement. They knew who I was, my face wasn't exactly new to them. I could see the suspicion in their eyes, but they also couldn't deny what the girl was saying. I wasn't there to hurt her, I was there to stop something terrible from happening. Still, I had an illegal firearm on me, and that was enough to get me in serious trouble. I knew I wasn't walking away from this without consequences. They took me in, booked me, and I ended up in court a few weeks later. I was expecting the worst, a long sentence that would make my past crimes seem like minor offenses. But when the judge heard the full story and listened to the girl's testimony, things took an unexpected turn. The judge acknowledged that while I was no saint and had a criminal history, what I did that night was different. I wasn't out to hurt anyone, and in fact, I had stepped in to prevent something awful. The judge made it clear that my past couldn't be ignored, but they also recognized that even someone like me could make the right choice in the heat of the moment. They took that into account when handing down my sentence. It was still prison time, but it was lighter than what I could have gotten. For the first time in a long while, I felt like someone saw more in me than just another thug with a gun. Prison is never easy, no matter how many times you've been there, but this time, it felt different. I had time to think, to really reflect on what I'd done and what it meant. I'd spent most of my life taking from others, causing pain and trouble wherever I went. But that one night, I did something that mattered, something that wasn't just about me. It didn't erase all the bad I'd done, but it gave me a glimpse of what it felt like to do something right. It was a strange feeling, and it stuck with me. Now that I'm out, life isn't exactly a walk in the park. Having a record makes it hard to find steady work, and I'm still dealing with the baggage of my past. Some people look at me like I'm nothing but trouble, and maybe they're right. I can't change everything overnight, and I know I've got a long way to go. But I hold on to that night as a reminder that I'm capable of more than just taking from others. Even in the middle of all my mistakes and bad choices, I was able to do something good. It's not much, but it's something. And right now, I need every bit of hope I can get. I'm not writing this to ask for pity or to make anyone see me as a hero. I'm far from that. I've hurt people. I've broken the law more times than I can count, and I've done things I'm not proud of. But that night taught me something important. Even a guy like me, with all my flaws and bad decisions, can still make the right choice when it really counts. It doesn't make me a good person, but it's a start. It's a small thing, but it means a lot to me. These days, I'm trying to keep my head down and stay out of trouble. It's not easy, and the temptation to slip back into old habits is always there. But I think about that girl sometimes, and how scared she was, and how I was the one who stepped in when she needed help. It makes me want to be better, even if just a little bit. I don't know if I'll ever fully shake off my past, but at least I know I'm not completely lost. So here I am, taking things one day at a time. I'm still working on making better choices, trying to rebuild my life brick by brick. It's a slow process, and sometimes it feels like I'm not getting anywhere. But I hold on to that memory as proof that change is possible, no matter how small. Even if I never get the chance to do something like that again, I'll always have that night. It gave me a new perspective, a little bit of hope, and a reason to believe that I'm not beyond redemption. Maybe I'll never be a good man, but at least now I know I'm capable of doing the right thing when it really matters. And for me, that's enough to keep moving forward. Life's still tough, but that night is a reminder that even someone like me can make a difference, no matter how small. And for that, I'm grateful.